Welcome to Let's Talk, a free space where we explore common family challenges through personal experiences and tools shared by our guests. Today, let's talk about blended families. We have the perfect person joining us today. This is Ard Jarrett, and she is a stepchild herself, as well as a mother of one and a stepmother to 5 amazing stepchildren, right? And we also have Ard Jarrett, who is her stepson. Kelly, how would you define blended families?
The moniker, Queen of Blended Families, was given to me by my sister, best friend, Nicola Melhedo. And I've chosen to embrace this moniker because I have expertise. That's just a simple fact. And let me correct you. I am a stepchild. I'm also a stepmom to 7. And I have 1 biological daughter, Summer.
Yes.
But yes, with us today we have Ard, my first stepson.
Yeah.
And literally my first son. And blended families. How would I define blended families? Coming from my own experience as a stepchild, it is when you have parents of children who are no longer together, who embark on a new relationship with new partners.
Right.
In the mix are the children who have to interact with now additional sets of persons besides their biological parents. Enter the equation are stepparents, or if they're married, or whether or not, they're
just be together.
Yes. And the blending comes from the interaction of the lives around the children.
Right. So what would you say is the biggest challenge when blending families?
Challenge. What I've witnessed and what I have actually experienced is the biggest challenge, bar none, is not zeroing in on the children. They are the ones impacted the most. So the squabbling, the tug of war between the parents or the step-parents or the adults in the room is not acknowledging how their behavior impacts the children. And in these situations, the children want to be seen, heard, loved, understood. So the challenge is when your unkind behavior amongst yourselves as adults doesn't factor in how it's impacting the children.
Ard, do you have anything to add to this? What was your experience like, families coming together?
One big question. What was my experience like? It's multifaceted. But I think one of the main things to start the process in a positive direction is that it comes from pure love, as opposed to all of the structures, judgments, titles, processes that usually become a hindrance to people coming together to be a family in love. You know?
Okay.
I think the biggest challenge is pulling apart all of those, kind of social constructs of what family should be to get to the meat of the matter that everybody who is in the equation should be responding to each other through love.
Did you experience anything that Kelly just spoke about in terms of the dynamic of the grown-ups in the room affecting your childhood experience?
Of course.
How did you maneuver that?
So my childhood, preteen, I didn't spend a lot of time with my siblings because I'm an only child, but I have 8 siblings.
Right.
But I'm an only child.
Yeah.
So the issue is that I think, this is not just, it happens naturally and it's all wonderful. It's a lot of work, right? So I think it's the love for the siblings and my siblings that we decided as siblings to come together and forget the parents.
Wow.
So that's actually what got me close to my siblings, that we decided as people when we had the power to have that decision, that we're going to step outside the politics of the parents. And we got together close, and then it kind of retroactively happened.
Oh.
So That's also that's something was pretty cool.
Can I jump in
Interesting.
here?
Yes, please.
When I was married to Ard's dad,
Yeah.
Carrot, after our relationship broke up way down the line, when he was able to look at his children, blending and bonding, he thanked me. He said, Kelly, I have to thank you for this. What I am benefiting from in my children is you keeping them all together, so to speak. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but Carrot has passed away. His other parents have passed away. He has lost his mom. And it was pointed out to me by my current partner that for Carrot's children, I am their sole living parent. And I'm treated as such by them. And that speaks volumes to what you put in, because it takes me back to the place of your children. But because I was a stepchild, and because of what I experienced as a stepchild, I know what it feels like when the bickering or the tug of war is going on, and your parent, you're looking at the people who you love, and you're taking away lessons from it. Mm-hmm. And I realized pretty quickly that, okay, my marriage is not working, but here it is that I have I've embarked on these children that happened to me, where my stepmother stepped in and mothered the children. And so, speaking from what Ard just said, where when my marriage was breaking up, one of his sisters said to me, this is what you adults do. You come into our lives, you make us fall in love with you, you have a baby, daughter or sister, and then your relationship doesn't work, and then you ride out of our lives and never to be seen again. And that comment hit me to the core. And as a result of my determination to prove to Rain that that's not going to happen here, I jumped back into the fray. I ensured that she has a relationship with her sister, and I kept it going for then Carrot to turn around and see that all of this can happen minus us, the adults.
I think that's extremely interesting that, outside of your biological children, you even felt a responsibility of maintaining that relationship, even with your stepchildren, when the relationship ended with the father. That's very interesting
because I lost my biological mother, not to death, but she moved out of our lives for a considerable amount of time. And the way that my stepmother stepped in was there are no amount of Academy Awards that my stepmother, so much so that now in our dynamics, we have lingo, we have language amongst us. My stepmother comes into our lives, and my dad asks us when they get married, we need to find a new name, and a name for our new mom. And mom dropped. Yeah. We all called Beverly, my stepmother, mom. Yeah. She raised us. I am in Rain and Ard and Sky's life, and they call me mom. Not Ard.
Yeah.
Ard and I are special, because Ard is my first baby. Not baby. I did not meet him as a baby. I met him as a teenager. But Rain and Sky call me mom. And they call their mother mommy in the same way that I call my biological mother mommy. Bev, my stepmother, is mom throughout my life.
And this is a name that you did not insist on, but they opted to use that. Is that anything that you would suggest or recommend in terms of even the name that your stepchildren call you? Is that something that you have any advice on? Let them just call you whatever they feel comfortable with, or?
Well, my advice in that regard is one of the things in terms of what advice would I give to persons embarking on a blended family is I wouldn't insist on them having any particular name. Okay, that's a choice that you'd make amongst yourself.
Sure.
Mommy and mom works fine for us because it came down from me to my next set. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. I would call, so that kind of just transition, but I wouldn't stress particular name. But one thing I would definitely, and Nicola has done this to me, anybody who is getting into a blended situation and there's bickering or whatever, oh no, you need to go and speak to the queen of blended families. So I have spoken to some persons, and I have friends who have success in this regard. Not necessarily from speaking to me per se, but my advice is do not speak unkindly about their other parent in front of the child. I actually have had conversations around that in terms of where, and you're not doing it unkindly, although I've been in situations where it's unkind, but you're speaking to the child, your mother, your father, or if when you say Kelly, Carrot, Jan, Gina, or mommy says with a softer, loving overtone, that lands so beautifully for the child. Your mother, your father does not land.
Right.
It's harsh.
Of course, it creates tension, right?
But then you get into the practice of being gentle around, because that person is their parent. You get gentle around it.
Yeah.
The children receive the gentleness.
Yeah.
Because one of the things you don't want your children doing, is picking a side, or feeling afraid to talk about daddy in front of mommy because mommy has such a bad already always listening for daddy, or vice versa. And I'm not picking sides here, but and so if I have something unkind or to see or an issue with daddy, I raise it with him on his own kind of thing. Don't do it in front of the children because they want to see harmony, harmonious, loving. And if you can just be gentle.
Yeah, and they pick it up, as Ard said,
Because one of the hardest things I, as a stepchild, encountered was when my mother did that to me.
Yeah.
I was very in defense of my father. But bearing in mind, no, you're talking to the children, but these people are still their parents.
Right. Kelly, you said the word bond early in the conversation, and I see you guys holding hands, and it's so beautiful, right? How would you say what are some tools to foster positive relationships and bonding with your stepchildren?
Tools. I like the choice of word there because charting your course through life, you have a toolbox. And it's important or incumbent on you, the individual, to what you add or take away from your toolbox. And you should arm yourself with the tools that make you efficient.
Yeah.
But for bonding, Ard tapped onto it 300% because you have to come from a place of love.
Yeah.
So if you're coming from a place of love, then you can be softer and gentler. But bearing in mind now, blended families, how the blending comes about is where you have children. Because if you didn't have children and you had a marriage and you divorced and there were no children, you just said peace and you're gone. What's your business,
Yeah.
And every now and again you remember that, they had a birthday or something like that. But with the children, you have to have integrity. Children are sponges. And so if you give a child your word and you don't live up to your word, they're not going to trust you in other regards, So big part of the bonding is trust.
Yeah.
And how do you get trust? You have to have that integrity.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and it's not necessarily just in your interaction with the child alone, you have to have that integrity that whenever you say you're going to do something, you do it. And even if you are unable to do it, you come back and say, I'm unable to do it. But you keep the integral momentum, as well as not only in your interaction with the child, but with others, so that they can see it.
Yeah.
Because that is what builds the bonds. And this is where you get, I think I should hand this over to Ard, because this is where you get the reciprocation.
Yeah.
You get back the from your investment.
Yes.
It comes back to you.
I do want to ask Ard, for you, when did she win you over? When did that moment happen?
Can I stop and jump into the tools part?
Definitely, yeah.
Because she has a lot of tools that she utilizes to keep us together. So there's a traditional dinner at the family house all the time. So whoever is around, or because all of us have very busy lives, right? But she always pushes for us to eat together and share together all the time. She also, has, WhatsApp groups and chats where anybody's traveling, everybody has to check in before they leave the country. There are all of these family-oriented tools that she's brought into the equation that brings us together.
Yeah. And
it makes you feel like part of a unit, and that there's a caring, there's a sharing, and when everybody does it, it's and there are a myriad of other things, but those are examples of tools that Kelly has definitely brought over the years that I think has been.
Can I bring you back in time a little bit from the point where you first met her to the point where you understood, okay, she's here to stay? Or how was that? What was that like for you?
As she mentioned, I was teenage years, very dynamic. It helps that my mother's family is also very blended, right? So the perspective of where I'm coming from as a person, I had the tools, because my grandmother had 4 children, adopted 4 children. My mother had me as an only child, adopted 2 children. Was in a marriage that she also had stepchildren. So my awareness of an acceptance was, I think, not typical of the normal. So, and Kelly's a very dynamic, loving family person. So it was easy that acceptance was pretty cool, right? And we kicked it off on a, kind of mother-son, but really like 2 people who respected each other, right? So, when Summer was born, my youngest sister, it was more like a brother, but Kelly and I were like, it's interesting to explain. I don't know if you can explain, Kel, but there was no apprehension, there was no figuring it out. It felt pretty natural. I don't know if I answered the question.
With Ard, because you're saying go back to when we first met each other. I'm in a relationship with his dad, but I meet this young man and I literally sort of fell in love with him immediately because he was dynamic, easygoing, chattify, but he kind of because what I got from Ard almost instantaneously was a one-on-one, so to speak, like he zeroed in with me. And he actually helped me to bond with his mother because I met her and she was really very warm with me and we clicked. But the thing is that I know that I come to these equations from a standpoint of how I saw my stepmother. Because my stepmother knew she was getting bad talk from my biological mother. She soldiered it, but she never filtered it down to us. She always took it. And I'm sure she must have had words with my father behind closed doors, but that was never presented to us from her. So then I thought to myself, you can rise above any backlash on kindness or whatever if your focus is not to be in a quarrel, but to give love to children.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to ask. Do you think it is possible for the biological mother and the stepmother, or biological father and stepfather, to be friends, to have a close relationship?
Absolutely, it is. And my experience is, all right, Ard's mom was Jan. Carrot wasn't married to Jan, but his first wife was Gina, who had Rain and Sky. Then I came the second wife, and I had Summer, who actually was named by one of the siblings. I'm not going to get into that.
Huge debate.
It's a huge name. So.
Between me and Ray, the others just like thing.
But okay. It got to the position where, in a short, simple sentence, Gina and I became known as the Ex-Wives Club. Kelly and Gina Jarrett are the Ex-Wives Club. And so much so that we're such good friends outside of being married. Carrot moved on and got married again. But okay, so we're very good friends. And we literally raised our daughters together. United.
It was beautiful to watch.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful to watch.
And I miss her dearly. I don't know if you know that she has passed, but I do. Because so as a trick, Gina has a huge village, but I was her little camaraderie man. Anyway, what I'm saying though, it is possible. And throughout my interactions, I've seen Jeffrey and Carol become close. Sit down. I come home to see Jeffrey and Carol sitting down. And but it is possible. But if you come from that place of, and this is I learned from my stepmother, if you know that when you come on the scene, if you come to the dance, you're not. Me now, I'm speaking from my experience. You're not first, second, but you're third. Right? You have a VIP band, you're supposed to be in the dance. but you just come. You can't come in and go on like history didn't matter.
Right.
It is those who approach it from, well, oh, I just come now, and those behind their history. No, you have to acknowledge what precedes you. But you also need to know that you have a VIP band, so you are supposed to be here.
Right.
But with humility.
Right. Absolutely. And the children
100%.
are looking to you as a parent to also parent, right?
Yes, it's
Wonderful. Guys, I think we are at the end of our conversation, and I just want to thank you so much for joining us
Thanks for
today,
inviting us.
for talking about something so personal and so real, and for sharing your experience with us. And it's definitely not a black and white issue, as you said. It's so individual to how each person approaches this, but your experience is definitely helpful. And thank you.
my closing line, though, is you realize that you've spoken to us holding hands and things, but Ard is here because of me. We just discussed it, that if he had gotten a call on his own, one, this would be too personal
Never
for
come.
him. He's more private, but when we got the invitation and I called him up, he said, for you, Kels, sure, I'm there. And he came early and all of that good
He
stuff.
was on time. Thank you, Ard.
Of course.
Thank you for
Yeah, man.
sharing.
And thanks for inviting us. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk.
Do, do,